Thank you, Bully, for that introduction. Good morning, or good afternoon, everyone. So, there's something that I've been grappling with for the past few weeks, and little did I know that I've actually been attempting to understand it for most of my life. This is the question of, how is humour used as a coping mechanism? When I first started to do my research for Mac Live, I found it way easier to procrastinate on all the research that I would need to do than actually sit down and come up with a good topic. And whenever anyone in my class asked me, "What are you doing for Mac Live? Oh my gosh, what's your topic?" I generally came back with a ridiculously witty response that generally left them thinking I was completely sorted for the topic, and I therefore avoided that dreaded question of, "Oh my gosh, what's your Mac Live topic?" This is just one example of how I've used humour as a coping mechanism throughout my life, and one that I hope that I will continue to use in my coming days. In order to understand this question, we actually need to begin by understanding exactly what humour is. So, being the millennial that I am, the first thing that I did was to Google the definition. Wikipedia, the ever-reliable source, defines humour as the quality of being a musical comic, especially as expressed in literature or speech. Pretty basic and to the point, but I wasn't completely satisfied with the answer. So I decided to dig a bit deeper and found that the Greeks had their finger in the pot here too. The ancient Greeks defined humour as, humour is the tendency of experiences to provoke laughter and provide amusement. The term derives from the humoral medicine of the ancient Greeks, which taught that the balance of fluids in the human body, known as the humours, controlled human health and emotion. They may have had it slightly wrong with the exact science and chemical balances of humour, but we all understand what tickles our funny bones. Whether you're super into dad jokes, I can see my dad enjoying that one in the back, or enjoy your classic funny anecdotes. Or maybe you're even into a little bit of dark humour. Yeah, those giggles, don't lie. Whatever it is, there's one thing that we can know for sure. Humour is the natural human condition that lies in every person and one that everyone can identify with. It influences the choices you make and the people who you choose to surround yourself with. This universal understanding of humour spans across people of all ages and cultures. We've actually formed a language through laughter. Along my journey of procrastination, I intentionally stumbled onto YouTube and came across Peter McGaw and his discussion on the benign violation theory. He explains that humour occurs when a situation is both benign and is a violation. There are 3 steps to unpacking this theory. First up, when a situation is a violation in that it is threatening and unwanted, and therefore not funny. For example, when a creepy man is wanting to tickle you, like good old Borat over here, it's actually not funny at all. The second step to this theory is the benign situation. This counteracts the first step because when a situation is purely benign and that it is a very positive experience, it does not necessarily mean that it is going to be funny either. For example, it's really not that funny to tickle yourself. However, the third part of Peter McGaw's theory ties these 2 elements together. He claims that if these 2 elements, the benign and the violation, occur simultaneously, and that a situation is neither threatening nor it is overly positive, it results in a humorous experience. For example, if you are play fighting with someone and the other person is tickling you, you are actually experiencing a humorous situation. Massive shout out to Peter McGaw over there for helping me out with that. Don't know how I would have done the speech without him. But when you actually think about it, he does make a good point of how feelings affect our emotions. This leads me on to explaining the science behind humour and what actually happens to your body when you find something humorous. One of the best things that you can do for your health is to laugh. Through the act of laughter or smiling, your body releases dopamine, a natural opiate that helps to combat depression and create a general feeling of well-being. By actually laughing at something, you are technically rewarding your body by releasing this chemical in what is known as reward-motivated behavior. And this feeling is very similar to that positive effect that you get after having sex or doing cocaine, but isn't actually frowned upon when down on an airplane. This feeling that your body experiences is actually able to increase your lifespan because it is lowering your blood pressure and therefore your stress levels. This therefore answers the question of why it is important to allow humor in your life, but the main question still stands. How can we use humor to cope with both our internal and external stresses in our lives? Because nobody wants to end up like Britney circa 2007. In order to deal with stressful situations, I found that you need to develop some kind of a sense of humor, even if you only find yourself funny. A sense of humor as a coping strategy can be an effective line of defense and can actually keep things from being too overwhelming or scary. In order to tackle this, I've managed to come up with a few tricks. So here they are. Sarah Fawcett's tips and tricks on how to use humor as your coping mechanism. First up, start with a smile. Even if it's fake, your body will start to feel that the stress can slowly fade away. People are actually trained at call centers to smile before talking to a client because it can help both the caller and the customer feel more at ease. And aren't you guys feeling way more chilled out after looking at these, quite frankly, adorable babies? Next, take a step back and try to look at your situation as an observer to see the humor in it. By changing your perspective, you won't believe how silly the situation actually is, and you are actually stressing about something so unreasonable. For example, if you think of your favorite comedy movie, you are generally laughing at someone else's expense. This isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it can show that by being an observer makes the situation a lot less stressful. Next, take it to the extreme. Value the extremes by recognizing the potential humor and how ridiculously frustrating and annoying your situation is. For example, no one enjoys going to home affairs, let's all be honest here. But when you're standing in that outrageously long queue, where there's only one window open, try to imagine what all the other tellers are doing. Did they all get stuck in traffic? Did a massive earthquake happen that only affected them? Stay tuned to when is this line gonna end? Next, find your funny buddy. Find a person to share your frustrations with so that you can start to think about how you'll tell the story later so that it will be funny. Find your Christina to your Meredith. Find your person. Finally, surround yourself with humorous value-adding content, whether it be funny books, movies, or clubs. My sister and I have personally watched The Heat an uncanny amount of times, but it never fails to put us in a good mood. By taking these steps, you can actually begin to feel that the stress around you will slowly start to fade away. So, it can be said that humor does have a positive impact on your life, and it can be used as an effective coping mechanism to deal with stressful or overwhelming situations. Although this is not a long-term solution to your problems, humor can be a powerful tool to taking a break and letting loose without waking up with a hangover in the morning. Thank you.